some stuff. I don't know if you guys, there we go. I can see.
You got
So
a
here's
beautiful engine.
a motor that I'm just finishing. So this one is 155 horsepower turbo motor. It's based on a ROTAX 912 100 horse. And then so I completely disassemble it and weld the crankshaft. We install oil squirters in the case to squirt oil on the piston to cool it. And then reassemble with our turbo pistons. We put our oil pump assembly on, and then our valve covers. This is our exhaust, our fuel injection, and our turbocharger, and all these components. So this one's almost finished. Here, let me see if we can see. So here's some of our turbo components I set out. These are all components that we manufacture, and this stuff all goes into building a turbo motor. And I'll just kind of walk over here.
Jason, where's the factory located?
So these are the rest of the components that go into our fuel injection system. So Edge Performance is based in Norway. And we have stuff manufactured all over the world. So we have a worldwide distributor network. So these are all the components to go into the fuel injection system. Fuel pump, dual fuel pump assembly, lots of fittings and stuff to do the installation. The ECU, our wiring harness. This is all parts of our wiring harness. Those are all components into the fuel injection system. And then we have things like our fancy bling valve covers. Very nice. It's like Aaron's airplane. He has our big bore. Okay. So this is our 1484 cc big bore for the ROTAX. Teflon coated skirts and nice. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice stuff. Then we go into.
And you gain like 50 more horsepower, right?
Yeah. So the big bore is will give you about 100 on a 912 100 horsepower. You'll get about 114 horsepower. And with the fuel injection system, you get around 120 horsepower.
Okay, 120 for the injection. Okay.
Yeah, mi amor, necesito que me ayudes con esto.
Darío, te estamos escuchando.
Hola, Mauro, ¿cómo estás? Gusto en oírte.
Bien, viejito. Si quieres, silencias tu micrófono para que estés ahí pendiente de la charla, ¿vale?
Ah, perdón, no sabía que lo tenía abierto. Gracias.
Bueno, brother. Jason, are you there?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay. It's performance. Okay. How long does it take the whole process to convert the ROTAX engine, the OEM, the original from the factory, to this one?
Okay, on the like for a 120 horsepower motor? Yes. So to do the 120 horsepower motor is just basically the cylinder installation. Okay. And then the EFI kit. So the EFI kit, depending on the aircraft, and one of the key things to install the fuel injection is having either a header tank, okay, or an and-air style fuel selector valve that will return fuel back to the tank that's being drawn from. So that's one of the key things with the injection system. The rest of the injection system is really quite easy to install. You can do it within 1 or 2 days, depending on the guy. But this wiring harness is really the main part of the wiring. There's 3 powers and 2 grounds. Yes. And that's pretty simple. And then the rest of our wiring harness, it all just plugs in. It lays right on the motor and it plugs right in. So it's really quite install. And then the only other part is the fuel pumps. So the fuel pumps requires 2 breakers and 2 switches. And that's pretty much it. And the EFI system can be installed, quite easy. The intake manifold, it bolts on. It's about 5 pounds lighter than the carburetors. And that's most shops or guys can accomplish installing that. The turbo motor, you know, to do these turbo motors with we have 126 horsepower version, which is basically a 914 replacement.
Okay.
And then we have this model, which is 155 horsepower.
Wow.
The installation of a turbo motor is a little bit more involved because you have to install an intercooler. So when you start installing an intercooler, you know, this one is designed for the 914. I'll bring it around here for you guys. This one's actually installed. It's meant to kind of go back here. And so once you do that, then you're kind of dealing with, you know, cowling changes and pressurization of your cowling. You have to get air in and out of the intercooler, and you still have to have your oil cooler and your radiator work correctly. So doing a turbo motor can be a little bit more challenging, definitely.
Okay, we have
the naturally aspirated.
Jason, we have a question here from a friend.
Sure.
He is a specialist in ROTAX engines here in Medellin, Colombia. He's asking about the pumps. The kit of the pumps, does it have the valves checking valves?
Yes. Yeah, so there's a check valve right in the pump assembly.
Okay.
And there's also a screen at the end. So there's a pre-screen for a filter, and then we use after the pumps, then we use another. This is like an 8 or 10 micron filter after the pumps.
Okay.
And everything's really high quality, as you can see. It's a Bosch.
Yeah, it looks like,
you know, it's the fuel pressure regulator. It's all Bosch, so high quality components.
Why are you using ROTAX engines? Jason.
Oh, what sorry, if I want again?
Yes, I have a question. Which engine do you recommend for us to do the improvements? Which engine is the best for you guys to gain the more horsepower between the injected engine or the carbureted engine? So 912 ULS or 912 IS?
Okay, so we prefer the 912 ULS just because of the ROTAX 912 IS. Their fuel injection system is not user tunable, and it's also really heavy and kind of a complicated installation with all their control boxes and wiring and stuff. It's super heavy, and then, like I say, it's not user tunable. So that's the feature with ours, is it's about 5 to 7 pounds lighter than a 912 ULS, and then it's user tunable. So we can go in on the computer and do injector trim. So each injector, let's come around here. So each fuel injector, we can go in with the laptop and tune every cylinder to make the motor run, you know, really reliable and efficient on each cylinder. Because based on your runner length and your exhaust length, and also the flow of each injector, will affect the EGT, or the temperature of that cylinder. So we can go in on the computer and injector trim each cylinder, making it run within 10 to 15 degrees of each cylinder.
Excellent.
So
and what about the 80 horsepower engine? Is not a good idea to have it? 80
the 80 is a great motor, and we do a lot of upgrades for the 80. So the primary difference in the ROTAX series engines, the 80 and the 100 horse, really is the camshaft and the bore. So, you know, that's really, you know, so it's really better than 100. 1211 cc. Yeah. So the 80 is a 1211 cc, and the 100 horse is 1352 cc. So that's really only the difference. The best ROTAX motors are 2007 and newer with the through bolted case design. So anything 2007 and newer is a lot better motor, and they're capable of more power. So the earlier motors are okay. You have to be kind of prone to the case fretting on the earlier motors.
Jason, can you see the questions that our viewers are
No,
doing here at the
let me
chat.
change my view. Maybe.
Okay, there's a question from Sebastian. What are the options to install one of these systems to an airplane in Colombia? Do we have to take the plane flying to your workshop, or can an expert of you guys travel here to do that?
Yeah, most experience or somebody with ROTAX experience can do the installation for the big bore or fuel injection. So it's pretty basic. We have really good instructions. So on the website, oh, I see one question popped up from Juan. So yeah, so basically just about anybody with some ROTAX experience can do the installation, removing the cylinders. So when we send the big bore, for example, the big bore,
probably we can send the engine to your factory, and you come back with the engine with the remodeling, right?
We also do that, but so the piston will be loaded already into the cylinder, and basically you just have to do the install. So we have really good instructions on the website for the fuel injection system. We have like a 26-page manual that's downloadable. And
do you have any special, Jason, do you have any special training program for somebody who are interested about this kind of modification, who travel to your factory, to your place, and to spend away, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks, learning how to do that? Do you have any training plan with you guys there?
We could do something like that if we were going to set up, say, a dealer that wanted to become a dealer down there.
Right. Yeah. We need to talk about that.
I see Juan had a question on the TBO of the engine.
Yes.
So the TBO it stays the same with the big bore upgrade. So same TBO.
There is a question he is asking as well. With you are putting higher the ¿cómo se dice potencia en inglés? No sé, the power of the engine. You are improving the horsepower. Yes. Do you need to change the radiator, or you keep the original ones?
Typically the radiator, especially the new style ROTAX radiator with the tapered tanks. So kind of the newer 914 style tank or radiator with the tapered tank ends works really well. And that's what we run on the 155 horsepower motor. And it seems to work quite well with that. A lot of, aircraft run into oil cooling issues, which seems to be the primary concern is too high of oil temperatures. So having a good oil cooler is a good thing, and that sometimes may take work.
Venga, muchachos, ¿ustedes tienen claro cuánto aumenta la potencia del motor de 100 caballos de Jason está hablando? ¿Alguien quiere contestar eso? I'm asking about if they have clear how many horsepower gain the 912 ULS with your modification.
Okay, so this version here is 155 horsepower. This is the most powerful one that we put out. So this is a turbocharged 155 horsepower model here.
So it can be between 120 and 155 horsepower, right?
Correct. Yes, correct.
Okay, with the difference about 120 horsepower is the turbo is less powerful, or what? Or the changer?
So we have two turbo motor versions.
Okay.
So basically we have what we call the 914 Ti.
Okay.
And that motor is 120 horsepower with no intercooler.
Okay.
And with the added intercooler, it can be 126 horsepower.
Perfect.
And then we have this version, the 155 horsepower, and that requires an intercooler for sure. You definitely have to have the intercooler. And those motors are mounted off of a ring mount. So you have to have an aircraft with a ring mount style. for a turbo motor. So the naturally aspirated big bore motors, we can go all the way to 130 horsepower. So we have this kit that I showed you guys, the 1484 cc motor. This motor is capable of 120 horsepower with fuel injection and about 123 with a camshaft change. Usually to do the camshaft, you would want to do it during rebuild time because it requires complete disassembly of the engine to change the cam. But you can just install the pistons and cylinders and the fuel injection and get 120 horsepower without having to disassemble the motor.
Okay, got it.
And then we have a larger big bore, so a 1621 cc motor, but it requires case machining and cylinder head machining, and that big bore motor would have to come to us to build, and it's capable of 130 horsepower.
Great. And what about the fuel?
It becomes expensive to do that motor, so most guys stick with the 1484 cc and fuel injection.
What about
Otherwise,
the
if
fuel?
you're going to spend the money to do the 1621 to get 130, then guys usually just end up doing, you know, the turbo motor once again. So here's another one that I have finished.
Okay.
Ready to go.
Okay, there is a question here related about the fuel, because here in our countries, we run our airplanes in avgas, 100, 130. It has leaded fuel.
Yeah.
What kind of fuel do you recommend for those modifications?
So our motors are designed to run on 91 octane, the same as 100 horsepower ULS.
Okay.
So 91 octane. Yeah.
91? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I've seen that the fuel injection system that you have in your products probably doesn't fit in many of our cases because the height of the part.
Okay.
So in my own aircraft, what would be the measurement that we must have to install that? I don't know if you got it.
We have, I'll just show you on this motor. So we do have 14 different styles of intake manifolds, and we do have manifolds that give more distance in here for hydraulic prop governors and all kinds of things like that. So we have 14 different styles of intake manifold to fit just about every type of aircraft. Excellent. And typically our intake is actually lower than the carburetor, the crossover tube.
Okay.
This is actually lower than the carburetors.
Oh, right. Nice.
Yeah. I can dig a set of carburetors out here. And so that gives you an idea.
O sea, ese motor es más bajito que todo el sistema de carburadores que trae los motores originales de ROTAX. ¿Quién tiene alguna pregunta, por favor, para Jason, para que se la hagan? Eso está muy, muy, muy bacano. They are talking about the price, and they are talking about if the injection system doesn't have the connection for the maintenance port.
Sorry, say what the connection again?
Yeah, the connection for there is a port to connect the engine to the PC for the maintenance.
Okay.
ROTAX software.
No, so it doesn't use the ROTAX software at all.
Okay.
We actually would use Autronic has its own software.
Okay.
And then we can use Team Viewer.
Excellent.
And then with Team Viewer, so the kit comes with this cord.
Okay.
And this cord.
Okay.
And then you connect to your laptop and get communication with the ECU. And then we have Team Viewer, and then all we need is Bluetooth or a hotspot.
Yes.
And I can remote tune your engine from right here, right on this
Perfect,
tablet
yes.
that I'm using.
Got it.
So the ECU will come already preloaded with a map
Okay.
that will start and the engine will run. But sometimes there's, you know, some fine tuning for each aircraft that needs to happen. And then I can log in and tune that aircraft for you remotely with TeamViewer. And then once we get it tuned, then it's good to go. You don't have to change. And some of the benefits with the fuel injection is especially at altitude. So the EFI system automatically compensates for altitude. So the ROTAX carburetors at about 5,000 to 5,500 feet, the altitude compensation really kind of stops.
Yes.
And what happens is they just get richer and richer. And then you have that big EGT spread between cylinders. So you have, you know, 150 to 200 degrees EGT between each cylinder. So you have two rich pistons and two lean pistons. And so we can tune the injection system so that your motor runs, you know, basically perfect.
Individually, perfect, excellent. Yeah. Okay, Najib is... Bueno, buenísimo. Ustedes...
I'm going to dig out a set of pistons. So just hang on a second. I'm going to show you guys what a set of brand new 100 horsepower ROTAX pistons look like.
Perfect.
That has been run 1 hour at the factory.
Excellent. Vamos a mirar entonces unos pistones de ROTAX nuevos. Los van a mostrar acá.
I just got to go dig here. Hang on.
Hey, muchachos, aprovechen. Uy, ¿qué es ese jugueterío que tienen allá? Ahorita le preguntamos el precio. ¿Ustedes cuánto creen que vale eso? Para aumentarle 55 caballos a esa vaina.
Sí, entre unos 10,000 y unos 15,000 dólares.
10 o 15,000.
Más, eso está como entre unos 20,000. Todo el sistema con el ensamblado y todo eso.
Es que yo creo que ellos deberían vender esos motor ya listo, ¿no? O sea, que uno no tenga que mandar.
So these are brand new pistons, 912, 100 horsepower. And those have been run for 1 hour at the factory in the test. So you can see two black, they're rich, and two that are running nice. That's how every ROTAX runs with carburetors.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they should all look like this. Yeah.
And what do you do with those parts?
So these parts would come out of these motors when I build them, because we put our low compression turbo pistons in the turbo motors.
Okay.
So I do have sometimes parts like these brand new pistons. You know, these have got 1 hour factory run time. I recondition cylinders and we rebuild crankshafts. So we have a lot of components and parts, valves to rebuild cylinder heads. You know, compared to purchasing components from ROTAX at expensive prices, we have a lot of stuff for reasonable prices.
Of course. Do you prefer new engines to do that modification, or do you prefer which type of engine?
Yeah, the new motors, the 2007 and newer, is definitely the best motor to use.
Okay.
The older ones are okay, you know, up to 120 horsepower, as long as the motor's in good condition. But the newer ones are far superior, 2007 and newer.
Okay. Luis, ¿vas a preguntar algo? Luis Betancourt, ¿estás hablando? Hola, Galito.
Aló.
Hola, Luis, te estamos escuchando.
Sí, bien, yo llegué tarde, pero mira, la pregunta...
Te escucho, sí.
No, ponme ahí, mi amor.
Galo, te estamos escuchando. Galo.
Hola, Mauro. Solo quería saludar nomás. Estoy con mucha bulla aquí. Te cierro el micrófono mío. Gracias.
Ok, gracias.
Aló.
Sigue, Luis.
¿Sí me escucha?
Sí, te estamos escuchando. Adelante.
Sí, te decía que quisiera saber, porque llegué tarde a la reunión, si este sistema turbo es posible en el 912S, en el de 100 caballos, y si digamos, toda la parte electrónica se le puede montar al Skyviewer de Dynon.
Bueno, ¿quién le puede responder eso a Luis, por favor? Espérate un segundo, que no sé por qué no veo a Jason acá. Hablando. Jason, can you hear us?
Yeah, you bet.
Ok, Luis, mira, Jason está explicando que el mejor motor de ROTAX es el 912 de 100 caballos de carburador para hacerle estas modificaciones. O sea que lo que preguntaste primero, si es el motor ideal. And what about the connections between, ¿cuál es la aviónica que tienes? Skyviewer, the Dynon, the connection from the engine to the Dynon avionics.
Okay. Okay, so currently there is no communication between our system and the Dynon or Garmin or anything like that. So just a standard ROTAX monitoring will work. You know, you still have your, oil pressure, oil temperature, cylinder head temperature. All those things still work the same with a Dynon or a Garmin or anything like that.
Okay.
We did have a product that was going to come to market, but the fellow that was developing it, he got killed in a motorcycle accident. So
oh my God.
It was going to be a really nice little box that just plugged in, and then it was awesome. But we do have a company that I have on my website. I don't have any out, but it's called the Flybox Vigilus.
Flybox.
I've got a couple here in packages. I didn't open any. I should have opened some up. But the Flybox is a small engine monitor. It's about 3.5 or about 4 inches by 4 inches, and it reads from our ECU. So it reads via the little data port, and so it reads everything that our ECU sees. So it sees the manifold pressure, intake air temperature, throttle position, water temperature. So that is a way to go if somebody's doing a new build, is to use the Flybox Vigilus is the product, and they're out of Italy, and I'm one of their dealers as well. So,
but we can work.
Actually, I can show you guys one. I'll take you out for a treat. Hopefully this connection stays here. So I'll talk just briefly about the Yamaha, and then I'll go show you my airplane. All right, so this is our Yamaha.
Oh my God, nice.
So this is actually a snowmobile engine. And
yes.
Teal Jenkins built this gearbox. This one here is not done yet. I'm just going to build this one for the guy. This one's going to be 150 horsepower. But I'll come around. And here's some of our parts to build the Yamaha. So we have little forged turbo pistons. It's a 4-cylinder, 1,000 cc motor. And it revs to 10,400 RPM.
Wow. Like a motorcycle.
But we have the gearbox, which reduces it at 4-to-1. So we put these rods. So here's all the parts to build one of our Yamaha Epexes. We have a plus manifold.
So Jason, what's your experience with the engines, and what do you do for a living? Are you a mechanic or are you a pilot? What do you do over there?
Yeah, jack of all trades. So I'll take you guys out and I'll show you the Vigilus in my aircraft.
Okay.
And I'll show you my motor that's, I'm still putting it together right now.
Okay, nice.
All right.
Oh, you're building your own aircraft.
Yeah.
Okay. How many horsepowers?
This one is a competition motor. This one will be 400 horsepower.
Oh my God.
So normally we sell these at 300 horsepower. But so it's got the gearbox. This is all assembled. So one of the main things is I had to build this whole entire motor mount, and then I've powder coated it. The radiator is installed. Gearbox. So I'm working on wiring now. It's just about, gotta do the EGTs. It's getting close. It's almost done. So yeah, we'll go around. I'll show you the Vigilus. So I've got quite a small panel in my aircraft, much like a helicopter. So I have full, this is all Lexan here. So I have full visibility.
My God.
So here's our,
Everything is
so here's the
Garmin.
Vigilus. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit like a blurry, but it's getting better.
All right.
Okay,
Can
that's
you see it
the,
now.
yes.
Yeah.
So to respond to the question of
So
Luis,
it's got all kinds of features. Fuel flow.
huh. Jason, where's gonna be the next aviation meeting in USA? Do you have any date schedule with this
I'm gonna go
coronavirus
back
thing?
into my internet.
Okay, can you hear me? Jason, can you hear me?
There we go.
Jason?
All right, I'm back.
Okay. Do you know where would be the next aviation meeting there in USA or Canada? I don't know. Because with this coronavirus thing, there is like the most important aviation meetings are closed. When do you think this is the meeting again to see you in person or to see your products there?
You know, hopefully we are able to do Oshkosh again this year. Would be that would be hopefully that would be the thing to happen. You know. Yeah.
So
fingers crossed for Oshkosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bueno, ¿alguno tiene unas preguntas para Jason? Yo estaba silenciando los micrófonos porque estaban entrando ruido, pero les voy a permitir activar el micrófono para que puedan hacer preguntas. Jason, what about the price for the modification? I'm talking about the 100 horsepower, the ROTAX, the 912 carburetor. What would be the price to improve the horsepower from 120 and 155 horsepower? What would be the price for that?
Okay. So the big bore with our cylinders and pistons. So the big bore, this will give you on an 80 horsepower motor, this will give you about 106 horsepower.
Okay.
And on a 912 100 horsepower, this will give you about 114. And so that big bore is $4,200 US.
4,200. Okay.
Yeah. And then the fuel injection system. So all these components that you see here, the fuel injection system is 5,200 euro. So it's all priced in euros.
Okay. With the fuel injection.
And then you have options like our valve covers. The valve cover is 200 USD for 4 valve covers.
Okay. 200 USD for the covers.
And then things like the motor. So the 155 horsepower motor, we only sell those complete. So that motor has to be built by me.
Okay.
So it's complete. This motor right now, brand new, is $37,500 US.
Okay.
The 126 horsepower 914 Ti version is 32,500.
Perfect. So the complete
Which
brand new
ROTAX
engine.
Just increased. Yeah, that's brand new. So the ROTAX has just increased their prices this year. They've gone up substantially. The new 915, I think, is about 42,000 US. 914 with carburetors is about 34 and change US dollars. So they've went up quite a bit.
Perfect. That's a very nice option. Ok, vale $37,500 el motor nuevo. Ahorita hacemos el resumen.
We also do complete rebuilds. So we can take, say for example, if somebody has like a 200 hour or less, new 2007 and newer 912, we can turn that motor into a turbo motor. But if it has more hours, then we prefer to totally rebuild the crank. We send the crank out to France and have the crank rebuilt and things like that. So, but we can take old motors and rebuild as well. So, you know, we can take a TBO motor and rebuild it and upgrade to our big bore, you know, fuel injection and different things like that as well for guys that have TBO motors.
Excellent, buddy. Okay, I got the $30,500. It means the new engine built by you with 155 horsepower, right? And there's another one with 32,500.
Yeah, here's a motor that I almost have. Here's one that's almost fit, and I rebuilt this motor and put a big bore kit on it and fuel injection.
Yes.
So this is going in a Kit Fox 5, and I'm just almost finished it. It needs a little bit more work yet. So that was a used motor that was rebuilt.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was. Let me see that engine again, please, Jason.
All right.
That one. That was an old 912 ULS.
Yeah.
So if I have a aviation school here in Colombia, and I have a brand new engine, but in a couple of time, you know, the TBO will be like 2,000 hours. So my option is to value the engine with the fuel injection system and $32,500, right? New one.
So if you, for brand new, yes. If you provide we can also do a core engine that's TBO'd and do a rebuild on it, yes. Especially if you go to the 130 horsepower and down, you know, we can work on rebuilds and stuff. Anytime we do this model with 155 horsepower, then we prefer to start with a brand new motor. Because then you have all brand new, you know, prop shaft, brand new, and just, you know, everything is brand new.
Completely agree with you. Completely agree. Okay, ¿tienen alguna pregunta adicional? El TBO, Sebas, es el mismo, el de 2,000 horas, no cambia. It's the same, the same TBO, right? 2,000 hours.
Yeah, the 155 horsepower. Right now, we currently have a 1,500 TBO.
Okay.
We've got a gyrocopter in Poland at a company that has one of these, and it's past 1,500 hours now. It's been inspected 3 times, and it's past 1,500 hours now, and it's run strong. It's the company's demo unit, so it gets run really hard. But we're saying 1,500 hours on this. All the other motors with the big bore kits is on a new 2007 and newer is still 2,000 hours.
Okay, el único que tiene 1,500 horas es ese grande, pero como que...
One of the advantages to the EFI system is typically you'll save 1 gallon of fuel per hour.
Great.
So the EFI system will pay for itself over the life of TBO of the engine, and then you just take it off and reuse it again.
Correct.
So there's very little maintenance other than, you know, the fuel filter, you know, so you change the fuel filter, and there's a small brass filter. There's a small brass filter in here. So we changed the filter in there. So it's a very low maintenance and a lot more, you know, fuel economy. You're going to save 1 gallon per hour. And it probably makes the engine life a lot happier, as I showed you guys the pistons, right? You know, so your pistons are not going to look like that. Okay. All 4 are going to look like this. So the engine life is going to be a lot better with the fuel injection system.
Do you have any agreement with probably like seaplanes? Because the seaplanes, there are the light sport aircraft that needs more powerful engines. Do you have any business with I don't know, C-Max, Super Petrel, or C-Ray to buy a new aircraft with your engine?
Yeah, a lot of guys install our products, you know, big bores, fuel injections. We probably now currently have, I think the last count was over 1,400. So 1,400 fuel injection systems worldwide now.
Great.
We've got a lot, and probably have about 200 of these motors right here, of the turbo motor. We have about 200 of those built now. We also have an additional alternator, which I don't have any in the shop here, but we have a 32 amp alternator, which installs on the rear of the motor. It's on the website. And then we have a 15 amp, and it sticks out quite far. It sticks out about to the back of the starter.
Okay.
And then we have a 15 amp slim one that's quite a bit slimmer. That's another 15 amp. So you have the stock 18 amps, and then you have a 15 amp additional. But the fuel injection system will run on the 18 amp alternator. The injection system requires 1 to 2 amps for the ECU, and each fuel pump is 5 to 7 amps, but you only run on one. The second fuel pump is for backup. So the injection system, like I say, there's probably over 1,300 worldwide just on the stock alternator, but it is a nice option to add the additional alternator on the back of the motor for some extra charging power and redundancy.
Amazing, man, amazing. When are you planning to come to visit us to Latin America?
Oh man, yeah. Aaron keeps telling me I need to come see him in Ecuador.
Yeah, Ecuador is very nice. In Colombia, you're very welcome here wherever you want, buddy.
Okay. I've been Costa Rica, fishing in Costa Rica several times. I love Costa Rica.
Costa Rica? Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Muchachos, pues yo creo que Jason ya ha explicado bastante sus cosas. ¿Quién quiere preguntar algo? Quiero saber si ustedes pueden activar el micrófono. Yo moví algo aquí. Quiero ensayar eso, por favor. Si pueden reactivar el micrófono por ustedes. Déjenme ver algo. Ahora sí. ¿Quién quiere hablar? Bueno, parece que... Felipe Correa, tú puedes activar el micrófono. No sé qué moví, pero...
Hi, sí. How are you?
Pipe.
I want to know...
Dale.
Yeah. I want to know about the continuous power. I mean, if you increase power and in a ROTAX original engine, you have to keep in mind that you can go continuous all time. You have a limit. In this motor,
okay.
Do we have also a limit for maximum power? Yes.
Okay, good question. Yeah. So as Edge Performance, we have our own limits set. So very similar to ROTAX limits. But for example, the 155 horsepower motor, if the cooling system is working correctly with the intercooler, the radiator, and the oil cooler, then it can still go max continuous for 5 minutes, similar as any of the ROTAXs.
Yes.
And then you can reduce power to, it can maintain about 130 horsepower to 135 for cruise horsepower. Yeah. And at that horsepower, the motor typically burns about 6 gallons an hour.
Great. The same amount. O sea, se mantiene los mismos 5 minutos, tenés 155 caballos por los mismos 5 minutos y ya 130 caballos en climb y gasta 6 galones, una belleza. Y ese motor vale $37,500. Bacanísimo. ¿Quién tiene otra pregunta?
Also, I wish to know if the propeller will be the same, because as you increase power, the same propeller will provide efficiency to use that amount of power, or I have to change the propeller?
That's a good question also. Yes, quite often, propellers are kind of the, guys like me, we've spent so much money on propellers because the propeller, as you can see, I got some crazy ones on the ceiling. But yeah, the propeller is very important. So depending on your horsepower and the type of aircraft can really vary on the type of propeller. Yes, you can see very big gains from a propeller change. Yeah. So it just depends what you have already and how much horsepower you've increased. But yeah, and type of aircraft, ground clearance, all those types of things. But yeah, propellers are huge. Yeah.
That guy is great question because he's an aeronautical engineer.
Okay. Yes.
Hay que cambiar la hélice. Si no cambiamos las palas y subimos todo ese caballaje, no estamos haciendo nada, no estamos pasando el torque a la hélice. Muy bien. ¿Quién más quiere preguntar, muchachos? Aprovechemos a Jason. Tex Montes de Oca, from Ecuador.
Yeah, how much is the cost of 120 system, and if any kind of technique can install here in Ecuador? Is okay that?
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a really good manual that's downloadable, whether it's our big bore installation, our fuel injection system, any of our products, we have good manuals, the alternator installation. So it's all downloadable on the website, and you can see all of that stuff and look at it before you decide to make a purchase or look at anything. You can review, the documents and see all of that stuff, definitely.
Oh, thank you. Great.
Or pay you a ticket.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And did you respond the price for that engine? Who was asking about the price for 120?
Me too. Yes, the price of that system.
Okay. So I would have to check. I just received my 2021 ROTAX pricing. Just off the top of my head, to do a brand new 120 horsepower is going to be close to $30,000 US. That's not exact. Like I say, I haven't sat down and did my ROTAX pricing on that, but I just received it from them this year.
$30,000 el motor totalmente nuevo.
That's beautiful.
¿Quién más quiere preguntar y saludar a Jason?
But just
hey Jason, how are you doing? This is Aaron. How are you doing?
Hey, good.
Yes,
hey,
very hi there. Very good presentation, and I just want to tell everybody from my own experience that a lot of snow. That I was in the I was where Jason lives for a couple of weeks, and I was his helper to build and unbuild some engines, and they do an amazing job. And also I had like a 100 HC in an airfield of almost 9,000 feet. And this is not the density altitude, because density altitude will be maybe 10 or 11,000 feet. And every takeoff was complicated, especially with two people. And after using the EFI system and the big bore and converting my engine to 120 HP, it became much more safe to take off, and of course performance went up, and the airplane can get to a higher altitude. I'm also with Santiago Martinez, that was the person that helped me with installing the EFI system. So it all worked perfectly. Entonces, de mi experiencia de aquí de Ecuador, convertir el motor a 120 HP fue una excelente decisión y funciona perfecto durante los últimos 250 horas.
Excelente. Excelente, muchachos. Bueno, no, yo creo que... Uy. Se me cayeron los audífonos. Friends. Bueno, entonces que vamos a despedir a Jason. Eso yo creo que ya nos explicó todo súper bien. Eso está espectacular, esos productos. ya aprendimos que los mejores motores para eso son los de carburador. Y bueno, de pronto aquí me está diciendo mi computador que bajita la batería. Voy a ir antes de que se me corte algo a conectarla. Y si ustedes quieren ir hablando con Jason, por favor háganlo antes de que se me corte aquí la llamada.
Jason, I want to know about the Yamaha option. I mean, the ROTAX engines is more popular or have a greater or a bigger market, but Yamaha sounds very good. How is going with the selling of the Yamaha option? Or how do you compare the two options, ROTAX and Yamaha, for the same amount of power?
Yeah, so the Yamaha is the one difficult thing with the Yamaha is installation, the motor mount. So there are several people now doing, most people, you have to do the motor mount yourself. So it's complete, some really good fabrication and skills to be able to do the installation, and then, cowling work, and, it's kind of whole firewall forward. So it's more challenging. We do have more people starting to offer CAD designs and the ability to maybe custom build some motor mounts. If we're provided with the bolt pattern of your firewall and prop location, then we can draw and build some motor mounts that way. So that's one of the biggest challenges is difficulty for installation. The other challenge is really people ask all the time, what's the TBO, how many fleet hours, and all those things. And so one of the keys with that motor is it is an excellent motor, but we just don't know. We don't know what the TBO is going to be. We don't know how many fleet hours, but the key to building that motor was the gearbox, and having a quality gearbox that Teal built is really cool. So installed weight, they are slightly heavier. So a naturally aspirated 150 horsepower motor is going to install at about 175, 180 pounds, where this turbo motor of ours, the 155 horsepower, is going to install at 150 pounds. So, it's a little bit lighter, this one. Our turbo version is going to install about 200 pounds. So we have a 150 horsepower, we have a 200 horsepower, and we have a 300 horsepower. The 150 horsepower is 18,500 euro. The 200 horsepower is 26,500 euro. And the 300 horsepower is currently 30,500 euro. So in US dollars, it's about 36,000 US. So their price is good, but they're definitely more difficult to install.
Okay, thank you. Very good option. Thank you.
Para el Navi. Bueno, muchachos, excelente. Entonces, vamos a... Si alguien tiene la última pregunta, yo creo que ya pues escuchamos a Jason. Si algo le escribimos. Jason, can you leave us in the chat your email, your contact? If somebody needs to call you or contact you, can you send us that information?
Sure.
The chat.
I have a short question.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Yes. Here is Luis Betancourt from Colombia. My only concern is how to get the system in the cowling. Do you have an example of your system mounted in the Sky Arrow with the Italian plane?
I personally don't, but
No.
like I say, the EFI system will fit most aircraft, and we have at least 14 different intake manifolds to fit various different aircraft. So we have 14 different designs of the manifold.
And normally will
and
not be a
we've
problem.
installed in a lot of, yeah, we can pretty much, there's only, I think the virus is one of the more difficult ones, but we've pretty much been able to put EFI on just about everything. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
No, si cupo era un pipistrel virus, hermano.
Sometimes we can get, if some guys will take measurements, you know, inside their cowling and a few pictures, we can look from pictures and see if it's going to work.
Okay.
Some aircraft that are more difficult, like for example, this Kit Fox, you know, this oil tank is going to have to be moved to the side. This engine mount is just, you know, more difficult to work with. So it needs a little bit of modification, but typically any engine that installs with a ring mount is really quite easy. So we have relocation kit brackets to move the coils, and it makes it quite easy with the ring mount. So it just depends on the aircraft, but we can usually accommodate and make just about any system work.
Okay, thank you.
I think, Jason, that your next step of the factory will be communicate with the factories of LSAs, you know, like Pipistrel, like Ecolot, like Technam, like, I don't know. And to do like from factory, from zero, they can sell your products with your engines, with your performance and everything, and avoid the client to do the kind of modification, because
we do have some of that, you know, in the United States, depending on your regulations, like the United States has the LSA and then the experimental LSA.
Yes.
So the experimental LSA guys can do that easily. But even Thomas and I traveled to the Czech Republic 2 years ago.
Yes.
And we went to the TL aircraft factory.
TL, yes.
Yeah, so I visited there, and we did a factory installation for an aircraft that came to New York State. And that's how it was allowed to maintain being an LSA, is because the installation was done and approved at the factory. But Thomas and I traveled there and did it. So, you know, some aircraft manufacturers just don't, you know, want to change, or a lot of customers want more horsepower and lighter and more efficient engines. But a lot of the manufacturers, you know, we do work with some, but most of them just want to bolt a stock motor in and sell the airplane.
Okay. Okay, Jason, thank you very much for your time, for showing us your excellent products. It's of course, you know, a lot of things about that kind of modification, and we'll hope to have you here very soon to show you your products, buddy. Okay.
That sounds like a good plan. I need a holiday. It's cold here.
Excellent. Okay, man. So
yeah, and you guys can leave
us your contact on the chat, please.
Yeah, you guys can reach out to me on email, on WhatsApp if you need, or the website, and I can help answer any questions anytime for any of you guys, for sure. So my website is www.badasspowersports.com.
Badass Power
Sports. Yeah, badasspowersports.com.
Okay.
And then I'm the Edge Performance North American Master Dealer. So
okay, Badass Power Sport. Oh, I wrote it wrong.
Yeah. Oh, it's close. I got an R in there, I think.
Badass powersports.com. Perfect.
Yeah. All right, there, that's fixed. You got it. Good. Yeah.
Excellent, my friend. Okay, have a great day with that snow.
Yeah.
That cold weather over there. Thank you very much for everything, Jason.
Yeah, thanks, guys. You guys take care. Reach out if you ever need anything.
Okay, bye-bye. Take care.
See you, boys. All right, bye.
Okay, have a good one. Bueno, muchachos, vea qué belleza de producto. ¿Quién se animó? Galito, póngale pues un Edge Performance a ese tote, hermano.
Buenas tardes, Mauro.
Hola, Mauro.
Qué belleza, hermano. ¿Qué más? ¿Cómo estás?
Buenas tardes, Mauro.
¿Qué